Good morning. It's Carol Martine again. I'm back in my studio working on a Just For Me project. If you will remember, on our last few tries at learning about watercolor, we started with this, tulips. We went to our orchids. We did our hydrangea florets. And the last time we delved into expressive watercolor. Today, as you'll notice, I have no picture. There's no sketch. And I'm not planning on having one. I'm going to jump into the deep end of the pool without a Mae West. Yesterday, I did some practicing. This floral was done with no marks on the paper. I drew using the watercolors. First, of course, I put a background on, and I did that very loosely, as you will see. And I used a technique that I saw in one of my visits to YouTube, and for the life of me, I was not able to find it again so that I could give that artist their due. So, all I can tell you is, this is not an original Carol idea. It was gifted to me on YouTube by watching a wonderful artist do this technique. I tried it, and I was quite happy with the results. So, we're going to start by using this only as a suggestion. We're going to start with our empty, unsketched sheet of watercolor, and we're going to try to see what we can produce. There are many parts of this that I'm looking at now, with hindsight, and saying, well, I would have liked to have had a little bit more darkness in my greens, etc. And these are the things that we use as techniques for learning. I'm not going to try to replicate that's impossible, but I'm going to try to re-employ the techniques, particularly the one that I learned that seemed to be so wonderful. And if you enjoy watching me delve through this process, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. My watercolors have been spritzed, particularly the colors that I'm going to be thinking about using for backgrounds and flowers. And now we're ready to jump off the deep end. Let's go. I'm going to begin by really soaking down this watercolor, unlike anything we have done before. If you will remember, if I saw puddles before, I would get all in a twist. But this time, I'm going to let the puddles be. I'm going to let the water pool as it sees fit. And I'm going to work with those puddles and my pigments to see if we can start our background. I'm using a rather large number 12 Simply Simmons round brush. And of course, here's my old standby in case I need it. But as I remember, yesterday I did this one with this brush only. So, on my background, I think I'm going to start with some blue Maybe I'll try this blue as my first attempt at playing in puddles. I'm going to try here, and maybe here, and here. All right. I think I would also like, there are puddles and then there are bogs of water, so I'm tapping with my Viva just a little bit around the edges. Let's go now and try to add a little bit of green. These wanted to be together, so we'll let them do that, since they will probably be running into each other. If you'll notice, I'm trying to do this with the concept of threes because nature does like odd numbers. And I think just a little bit of yellow might be nice. Let's try some of that. Up in here, maybe some in here and here. But mostly up here towards the top. Now that's a little bit of too much of a puddle, so I'm going to take that up. And let's see if a little bit of pink just here and there might be nice. Right. We'll decide that that is a nice start, but I'm feeling as though I would like a little bit more. No, I think I'm going to leave it, but I will dry this now. I'll be right back. Now here is the nice technique that I found on YouTube. And if you'll notice, my piece of Viva has a diagonal line of red on it. So I use that, and I will use it again. To form a basis for our flower. And when I watched this being done, I thought, wow, isn't that just something? So I want some good strong red, and I'm going to apply it to the fabric of the Viva, and I'm going to use it as a sort of a placement stamp for one of my blossoms. And there we have our first placement. Let's try again for a second one, maybe here. And I'm going to move this one down a little bit because I'd like to try doing a blossom with some yellow. So, why not? It's my firm belief that Viva could become my new favorite toy. Alrighty. And here. So, if you'll notice, we have two suggestions. I believe the light is better over here. We have two suggestions for two flowers here, and very lightly in this area for our yellow. This worked better than this, but then one learns art by doing. So, find a clean bit of Viva here, and let's get back to business. Now I'd like this flower to be deeper and richer than this one. So I'm going to pick this color right here as my basis for this flower, and I'm going to start very expressively and very freely to lay down some suggestions of color. And I'm going to lighten that and pull them in a little bit. Alrighty. Maybe we'll just use a little clear water to give this an opportunity to move. Now we'll go over to our lighter shade. And get this one going a bit. And you'll notice that this is being applied over yellow and blue on the background, and it seems to do nicely to enhance the right. And now going to need some deeper yellow, maybe just a touch of ochre, and because I want to carry out my colors, I'm going to put just a littlest bit of that red in there. All right. Look at the way the blue and the yellow are affecting the colors here. Very, very nice. The green background behind the yellow one is dulling it down a little bit, but we'll work with that because that is the nature of our expressive painting. Now, before I stop to dry this, I'm going to add a little bit more coloration. I want a little bit more depth on these flowers. So, now, just a little bit of water. To pull our pigment, soften our edges a little bit. And I'm thinking about this background yellow, whether or not I'm going to leave it there, but right now I'm kind of liking it, so we'll have to live with each other for a while. Oh, too much water. Well, that doesn't want to cooperate, so I'm going to dry this. I'll be right back. Now, in order to play up the yellows in this flower, which I am not too happy with yet, I'm going to just add the tiniest bit of orange to it before try my yellows. And since this was over green, I don't think it's going to give up because that's the nature of watercolor. And I'm just wondering if just the tiniest bit of purplish mauve might help make this a little more friendly towards me. Although watercolor, as you can see, has absolutely no obligation to do what I want it to do. If I knew more about the process, I could probably get around this problem. In fact, I'm liking that bit of mauve, and I'm wondering if that might be a nice addition to that one. And let's clean up so that we can use another stronger color. Ah, yes. I didn't really think I wanted to go down that road, but sometimes it's necessary to do so. Well, even though I dried the front of this sheet and the back, I still had a little bit of a curling problem because this page, as you remember at the beginning, was super, super wet. So let's try now to add some of our greens. Which we will add some of the other colors we've been working with. Let's see what we can do now to add our leaf suggestions, or at least the base coat of our leaf suggestions. Maybe just a small one over here. And let's see if we can start to work in some other ideas here. Just to soften up our edges a little bit. And definitely some more of this deeper green on these leaves. And let's see if I can soften up these lines with our use of water to give this pigment a place to go. And I feel as though we need to have a little bit of the color of these flowers just slightly touched into these leaves. And a little bit of this blue. Go. Let's go back to our greens. And our suggestion of leaves. Now, just a touch of our sienna. To firm up and maybe just a titch of it to darken. To add some dark in here. Not happening. Okay, we're not going to do that. So we can always jump to plan B to really darken things up a bit. I'm going to actually use a combination of black with our dark color so that it's not totally black. And whoops, let's see what we can do with this line. We'll put a little bit of a thirsty brush in there and see if we can't move this, soften this a little bit. Okay. And let's have some darkness in here to express the center of those flowers a little bit. And again, okay, I'm thinking that we need some of that dark green back mixed with what we already have on our palette. To express a veining in the leaves. Not too much. Not too much. And going to use some clean water to see if I can't soften these edges a little bit, make them blossom a little bit, which would sometimes that's a good thing. Yes. Okay. I'm going to stop fussing and playing because I'm having fun. Now, there's one more area that I see that I have to, I think I'll dry it a little bit and then just soften this area. decided to go for broke with my clean water. Which has a kind of a mixture of everything that we've been using to soften our background and bring it out to the margin of the paper. So, stop it, Carol. And you're going to declare it expressed. So, here we are with today's learning experience. This was yesterday's I think I'm actually going to try it again because there are areas that I'm not too tickled with. Of course, I had a big learning experience here with this so-called yellow puppy. This one I'm quite happy with. I am with that. This leaf is annoying me to death. This is a nice leaf, and that's a nice leaf. So, I've learned. And I hope you've enjoyed watching my process. See you again soon. Bye now.